oh, I want this book. Like, you're getting that book. Like, I made sure I took care of that for you, but you didn't read it. You don't care. It's my problem. Fine.
Yep.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
Well, last week was a big episode of the podcast.
Okay.
But this week is a big episode of the podcast.
Why's that?
It's number 450.
Oh, neat.
Do you remember a few weeks ago I was telling you, like, oh, it's too bad we can't hold out with
the
announcement until we get to number 450. And you said, no, we got to tell people as soon as we possibly can.
I wish we had been able to tell people weeks earlier.
Yeah, yeah. So this is big because it's 450, but we don't have anything special because it's 450.
No. We
have all the special last week and in the future at 2 stores.
Sure.
So this is just a normal episode of Contest of Challengers. What is this now?
Comics Industry Business Podcast on the Yak Channel Podcast Network here in Chicago.
Should it now be a Comics Industry Businesses?
No, because it's just the one business run through 2 locations.
So that's 2 businesses.
Like, all of the Walgreens in America are not all separate businesses. Walgreens is a business, and they have different locations.
Walgreens is a family. Is Challengers a family?
Oh, no.
That's fine. I hope you patron listeners realize that you were legit the first people to know. We didn't start telling people until, well, officially, the announcement was made officially Monday morning. Mm-hmm. The Friday we had changed social media all to just solid blue. Mm-hmm. And then Monday was the switch over to the blue logo and the photo of the outside and other information in images and, of course, the press release. But aside from the very few people in my personal life that I told, because I don't assume you told anybody.
I told everyone who works at the McDonald's on Western and Armitage.
Oh, okay.
They were not interested.
I can imagine. Were you holding up the line at the time?
It was not all at once. It was over several
Were you
visits.
trying to order glazed tenders that they clearly didn't exist and didn't have on their menu?
And they've got these ordering kiosks now, but you can't get all-day breakfast on them on the kiosks. You have to go to the register if it's not breakfast time. Really dislike it. Big flaw in the system.
Sorry to hear that.
Anyway, thanks for bringing that up. Jesus.
That's all I do. Remind people of their horrible mistakes. Mm-hmm. So the podcast was kind of the way it got out, and obviously the patron levels that get to hear the raw audio found out Saturday night. And we immediately started getting congratulatory remarks from several patrons.
Yeah, it was nice of them.
Yeah, and we thank that. And I was going to start thanking people, but then when the news actually hit, the number of congratulations that came in, I can't keep track.
Sure, I understand.
I might have even, I just stopped replying to them. I just started, liking them.
Sure.
And things, because it's so much.
Yeah.
But we appreciate all of them.
For sure.
Patron Bridget Neville actually Venmo'd us $35 for alcohol and or pizza for the long nights of setup.
Ooh.
Which we haven't used yet.
No, but we are in the beating heart of it as far as setting up the store goes. It is basically every day and every night now for the most part. Besides a few things that we had, social things that we'd agreed to and planned on way before Blue is a final thing. Aside from that, every moment is working on some element of getting that store open and running by the 29th of November.
Yeah. We've had the keys for not quite a week, because we're recording this on Thursday night this week, because we have our weekend fully booked.
Yeah. It's a real quick sidebar. There's a few things this month where I'm like, oh, if I would have known I was working on a new store, I would have not planned on any of these things and kept all those nights and days open.
But you didn't know.
I didn't know. And so these were things that I was excited about, and I still am excited about. But there's also a span of a few days in a row where it's like, Jesus Christ, I wish I could have some of that time back.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah, especially because, not to get even more derailed, but one of the difficult things is that starting in December, Patrick, both you and I are going to be working a lot more days.
And a lot more hours.
Yeah, we're losing a lot of our days off, basically all but one a week for each of us. So we're each working 6 days a week. And then to kind of coordinate the two stores, some of those days are going to be a little longer. Either it's commuting into a store that's farther away from where we live, or needing to leave earlier in the morning on Tuesdays to go get the books for two locations and drop them off at two different stores.
And be at both stores by open.
Right, by 11 o'clock. And so the thing that's sort of frustrating about that is that, we're losing all of those days off and we're working more hours. But the month before that, we're working even more. So it's not like, oh man, I can, I got to get a bunch of stuff cleared away, or I can really appreciate these days off. No, that was October. It already happened.
Yeah, we didn't take advantage of it.
We missed the window. Like that was when we could have done that, and we didn't know, and it's gone. And now November is crazy busy, and December through ? Is less busy, but still pretty busy.
It's not necessarily all day, all night busy.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just all day busy.
That's the thing of kind of almost not looking forward to working 6 days a week, when technically I'm only working 4 days a week now, because it is, I would work Monday and then I would come home and I'd have to work on the orders that we're going to be doing for the new store, and Tuesday night we would end up taking stuff over to the new store, so that's the time lost, and then Thursday, which is a day off, is multiple trips out to the burbs to grab things, to take to the store, to go back to red, to grab things, to go back to blue, and on like that. When in December, it's, beyond the few things that we usually have to do after hours, things like the podcast, or things like, working on emails for subscribers, or the monthly orders. The rest of that we can kind of do in the 11 to 7, 11 to 5 hours that we're at a store. And then when you come home, it's like, oh, we can, like, either of us, we could watch TV, we could go see a movie, we could relax. Like, all of those things are kind of back on the table in December.
I certainly have no room to complain, but I have never been, I was going to say a commuter. That's not true.
Sure.
I mean,
you used to for years.
I've just been a driving commuter my whole life.
You didn't have to depend on the CTA.
Yeah, I'm not a train and bus person, and I get dizzy quickly in moving vehicles that are not under my own control.
Sure.
So this is going to be quite an adjustment. And I know that, millions of people in Chicago alone take trains and buses to get to work every day.
It's true. A lot of our customers.
And that said, I still have a decent commute compared to a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, the distance for me from home to Blue is, I haven't done it under, like, actual circumstances so much as I've done it for other reasons. But it's like maybe half an hour each way. Like a little more. Half an hour to 45 minutes. So it's not so bad.
Yeah.
It's a bus and a train, or a bus and a bus. It's not so bad.
Sure.
But
It's
still,
just
I mean, when you're used to, walking 15 minutes to the store,
yeah, it's different.
it's a different thing. You have to accommodate for different circumstances.
It'll be fine. I'm just not used to it.
Yeah, same here.
I think you're more used to it. You take a lot more public transportation.
I mean, I am. I haven't had a car since I've lived in the city, which is like 8 years now, 9 years.
Obviously, I still take the trains when necessary.
Sure.
And occasionally a bus, but now it'll be a regular thing.
Yeah. But it's pretty straightforward. You'll do it one time and allow yourself a little bit of extra time in case there's a delay or you get confused, and then after that.
At least we're starting this process right when it's going to start snowing.
Yeah, boy, it was, looking at the outside temperature right now, not counting the wind chill, 27 degrees on November 7th.
Well, it was a blizzard last Thursday at this point. So
yeah, we've had Novembers where it's been, cool, but autumn cool, not winter cool. Today was winter cool.
We've been fairly lucky with all of our trips to Blue, except for the last one today. Mm-hmm. We've had parking right out front.
Yeah.
And for people wondering about the parking situation, it's metered street parking.
Yeah.
There are lots in every direction. River North is the most expensive place to park, I think, in the city.
Probably.
Like, it's $4 an hour per meter as opposed to $2 almost everywhere else.
Yeah.
And while most places stop metered paying around 8 o'clock. This does not.
Yeah.
This either goes to midnight or all night.
Yeah, and it's 7 days a week. So if you're planning on coming over on like Sunday, like it's still metered.
Yeah. Also, as Kent learned this week, they're very quick with the tickets if your meter expires. Mm-hmm. So if you have the Park Chicago app and you're in the store and you get the notification that your parking is almost up, pay attention to that.
Yeah.
The tickets are fast and furious in that part of the area. But we still managed to... Like, I am very... Can I say impressed with the amount of work we've done in less than a week?
Yeah, I don't think that lacks humility to be able to say, yeah, we've made a lot of progress, and I don't... Besides the things that are out of our control, like the bookshelves and the counters, I don't doubt that we're going to be able to hit our target and have a functioning comic book shop on November 29th.
Now, we'd have a lot more done if one of us or both of us didn't work full time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, more would be done, but it's not... There are things that we just can't do yet. Like, one of the big things that we're doing is we're moving older and extraneous product from red over to blue. And we're also going to be ordering a lot of new product for blue specifically. That stuff we cannot put into our inventory until we've got our inventory system, RMH and Comic Suite set up, and that won't even happen until November 8th. So even if you and I had this entire week to be at Blue, that stuff would still be in boxes. It still wouldn't be in the inventory.
Right.
Nothing was going to change that besides getting that set up and coordinated with Diamond and the installation done and all that. After that, yeah, and I'm going to be at Blue a lot more often on my days off and on my nights off getting that stuff done. But it couldn't happen until now anyway.
It's just that you suddenly realize, like, oh, tonight we have a birthday dinner with Donovan.
Yep.
And tomorrow you have a card game, a Transformers card game.
Do.
Things at the store.
At night, yeah.
And Saturday has been marked off for months for Full Gear, the All Elite Wrestling pay-per-view. Of course, we're going to be watching that.
Right. But, I mean, during the day, you'll be at Blue.
Yes.
Doing construction
with
stuff.
My brother George, doing a lot of hard work.
As a result, I'll be at Red.
Covering for me.
Covering for you, but also pulling product.
Yeah.
And still taking that stuff down.
And then next week we have Gustavo Duarte in for a signing, and he'll be in Chicago from Monday to Thursday. Mm-hmm. And I do not know how often we'll be seeing him, but it can't be all that much.
Right. I mean,
then,
like Monday night we've got Women's Comics Night, so I'll be at Red.
Yes.
Tuesday night maybe. Wednesday night maybe. If we don't do Tuesday night,
you mean hanging out with Gustavo?
Hanging out with Gustavo, yeah. I don't want to be mean, but one night. I can give him one night.
Right.
That's about it.
I mean, we haven't seen him in 5 years. He's coming from Sao Paulo. But I know. That's how circumstances work.
Yeah, because we are... I don't want to say running out of time, because that makes it sound like, we're behind the eight ball or under the gun or whatever. Like, it's none of those. It's more just... We are acutely aware of what needs to be done and how many days we have left to do it in. So a thing of like, spending a night with a friend that you hadn't already planned for is like, I already have allotted that time to something else.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The following week not only do we have the AJ Mendez and Amy Garcia signing, but we have 2 wrestling events that we have live tickets for.
Yeah.
And those takeaway nights.
Yeah. Also that Thursday, Kent is not available to work Red, which means you have to work Red.
Yeah,
which means I can be at Blue, but that we can't get a lot done besides what I can do by myself.
Yeah, there'll be no trips back and forth if necessary or what have you.
No construction, no errands or runs or anything. And that sucks because, again, like, we don't have that Saturday night and that Sunday night necessarily. And then the following week it's like, it's 3 days before we open. And one of those days is the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving.
3 weeks from right now, everything has to be ready to go because it'll be Thanksgiving Day and we will not be open.
Yeah, the thing I've told a few people who have, and I'm sure I mentioned this on the previous episode, like, we will have the store open on November 29th. There will be
Yeah.
comics and graphic novels. I think it's not going to look great, and it's probably not going to look as well as we want it to, and it will hopefully look significantly better in a few days from that date. But it will be open. The comics will absolutely be on the walls. I'm not concerned about that at all. Toys will be on the walls. We will have some place for people to sit. There will be a spotlight table for graphic novels and stuff. The bookshelves is kind of the most frustrating, nebulous part of it right now, because it's a thing where we're waiting to see if the metal bookshelves we ordered will show up. Because if they're not, then we have to buy other bookshelves, and we really don't want to do that because it is hundreds of dollars for something we are going to use for a week, and then we'll need to get rid of.
Yeah.
And that's on top of, we will have to go someplace and buy a whole bunch of bookshelves and take them all over to the new store, and then spend God knows how long putting them all together, and then shelving all the books and all that. Like, it's, if we have to do temporary bookshelves, it is such a time sink and money sink, and I really don't want to do it. But the alternative is, like, they're in boxes right now. Where the hell are they going to go?
Yep.
Like, we cannot just leave them in boxes. Although, funny story, one of the things I learned this week as I was pulling graphic novels from Red's bookshelves to put in boxes to take over to Blue, is that the second you put things in boxes, everyone's like, what's in the box?
Yeah, exactly.
Constantly digging under the table, like, what's this? We sold a couple graphic novels out of that box. Like, what? Those are on the shelf, but you didn't buy the shelf when you bought the one in the box. So, I don't know. Maybe we should just leave them in the boxes.
But we don't have room for that.
I'm joking, but they would just go in the center where the bookshelves would go.
Right, but
I'm joking, but I'm not joking.
But I mean, like, for people to look through them, they can't be stacked up.
No, they would just... Do you remember when we were working at the old place and they would rent out, like, like a few stores down from Bolingbrook?
Yeah.
And just put, like, here's all these boxes of books that we bought from another store or a store that went out of business or whatever. Just go through these. They're whatever.
Sure, but my point is, like, each shelf is 5 shelves high.
Right.
Taking up one box of space on the floor.
We'll know how many boxes we've got. I mean, you lay them out in a row.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
I don't love it, and I mean, we could also do folding tables.
Yeah. We don't have that many.
Right, but we could, for way less money, we could buy new folding tables. And then do boxes top and bottom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. We will investigate other options. We will try and figure out something.
Like Monday of Thanksgiving week?
Yes.
Are you going to call Trio and be like, hey guys?
It's not Trio. That's
that's the counters.
School supplies.
School supply. Yeah.
I mean, hopefully we'll hear something before then, one way or the other, even if it's just a shipping notification saying they are not coming in until December.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Monday night, Tuesday night of that week, we have to have something in place, because we are not going to be able to, and it could be a real late night Tuesday night putting stuff together.
Yeah.
Because we cannot. Like Wednesday night, we kind of can't do it, and Thursday's Thanksgiving, and Friday we open. So, like, basically Tuesday night before Thanksgiving, that store has to be ready to go for Friday morning, because we do not have a lot of other time that we can spare for it. We just don't.
Right.
So yeah, that'll be a discussion we'll have to have. Basically, at the wrestling shows, that weekend, we'll have to really put our heads together and figure out what we can live with, and what we can afford, and what we can do in the time that we have in front of us.
We've had very gracious offers of help from people, and
Thanks,
we do have a list of people, a mental list of people that we can call if we need it. But if it is a situation where these new shelves show up after we're already open, that's 16 shelves that come. Think of the ones we have now in Challengers and Sidekicks. 16 of those.
Yeah, 12 of the ones that we have in Challengers, 4 of the ones that we have in Sidekicks.
And because they are solid metal, they come that size. Like, there's no installation.
Yeah.
So if we get 16 of those dropped off, I will, or whoever's working,
Right.
like, we will call everybody and say, however you can get here, or whenever.
I mean, we'll basically, no matter what, I think we'll have at least 48 hours notice of when we're going to have them in.
Okay.
Like, they will be on a truck or something. I mean, maybe it's even 24 hours where it's a trucking company is like, they're in the warehouse, we are dropping them off tomorrow. So we'll be able to notify people. It's not just going to be like, messaging people like, get over here now. Like, we can't do that. We have
We
to
also,
let people know.
people work.
Right, exactly.
But, I mean, that'll be probably an incredibly long night of
Yeah, so...
just 16 shelving units worth of
I'll be
packing.
honest, I don't think it's going to be that big a deal, because
I hope you're right.
we've moved those before for shows and stuff.
Yeah.
You take the books out.
Oh, yeah, I know. I just mean literally the unpacking, the cutting down all the packing material, because that's...
I don't know how they're going to be packed.
Very large.
They might just be, like, wrapped. It wouldn't surprise me.
That'd be interesting. That'd be easier.
Yeah, for
we'll
sure.
See.
I mean, I don't know if they're going to... Because of the way they're manufactured at Sandusky, I don't know if they're going to just, do wrap around them, or if they're going to put them in boxes. I don't know if they put them in boxes. It doesn't... That seems less efficient.
I
for
don't
something.
remember 12 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope just wrapped. I mean, Christ, not even that, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we ordered them so many times over the years because we kept adding and growing.
Yeah.
So it's just we just don't remember.
But it's the
how they
problem of,
show.
like, when they come in, like, they might get dumped off on the sidewalk, and then we got to bring them inside, and then they're going to have to go in the space of whatever the graphic novels are on or in then. So that stuff all has to move. Then the bookshelves have to go in that space.
Yeah.
Then the books have to go onto the bookshelves. So yeah, I mean, that's a whole long day. And that'll probably be, realistically, one of the last things that we do to get that store set up, because I think the counters probably should show up before then, from what I was told. It's not a certainty. Anything can happen still. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if the counters got there that Thanksgiving week, and then the bookshelves got there the next week.
They'll both show up the first Wednesday.
Exactly. Good news.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, good times.
But yeah, I mean, we definitely will be asking people who offered if they want to swing by and help us set stuff up. That'd be fun.
Yeah, we'll see.
What I didn't expect when the announcement went out was the sheer volume of people who are asking to work for us.
They did, yeah. We got a lot of that first day. It was not just that; it was also people who were like, "Hey, I am a manufacturer of comics and games. Do you want to start carrying my comics and games?" And it's like, not really. I'm also super busy right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were a lot of people who were like, "Who's working that store? Do you need people?" Like,
emails, Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
Literally, someone walking by with their dog.
I had to tell somebody who was nice enough to ask and just sort of offer, like, "Hey, if you need somebody, Wednesday is one of my days off. Like, and there's someone who shopped with us for a while, and it's a kind offer, and it's definitely someone we'll keep in mind. But I had to tell them flat out, like, it's basically we're just spreading out the people who work at the current challengers now, because if we had to staff that store, we could not afford that store.
Right. Yeah. That's an issue.
Yeah. So basically, like, the only way we could make this store work as far as a get off the ground thing is if the payroll for that store was basically zero.
Yeah.
Which is why Patrick and I are mostly the ones who are going to be working at that store, because it does not cost us any extra to have he and I work that store.
A little more gray hair.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, it's not great for our long-term, like, health and sanity, and it's not the long-term plan, but the early days, get off the ground, figure out if the store is going to make money thing, it has to be something where we are not paying anyone to work there, because then it becomes unprofitable instantly.
Yeah.
Like, immediately from minute one, it's unprofitable, and it's like, that kind of can't happen. But yeah, I mean, hopefully down the line, sure, yeah, we'd love to be in a position where that store is profitable enough where A, we don't have to work it every day, B, we can bring people on to help keep the store going.
It's interesting to me that over the years that it is easy for us to find part-timers, people to work a day or two a week.
Yeah.
But people to work with us. It is such a harder experience to let go enough to let people work in our absence.
Yeah.
And there were times early on where you and I ran to a distributor. What was that distributor? I can't remember. In Skokie.
Yeah, I know the one you mean.
And we had Ashley working on a I don't know, I was going to say a Friday, but it wasn't a Friday back then. It was a Tuesday or Wednesday, probably a Tuesday. So you and I could both be in this warehouse and go over stuff and see what we wanted to get, and then call her and say, do we have this? Do we have this? Mm-hmm. But it was such a big, like, okay, we're going to be gone for like 2 hours, blah, blah, blah. Now it's like, I'm not worried about anybody who works for us working by themselves, but it's very rare that we let somebody else open and or close in our absence. And when I say close, I mean actually count out, do all the paperwork,
right,
that kind of stuff. over the years, it's just been Jimmy, Ashley, and Kent.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, Sam knows how to do it, but has never had to. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, we've had other people like lock up and stuff, but it's
but I mean like actual.
Right. We would still have to go to the store afterwards to do the rest of it.
Yeah, like hey, I got to leave early, but I'll come back later, kind of thing.
Right.
So, but it took us years to trust those people enough, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the problem has always been that if it was somebody who was working 3 or more days a week, I would trust that they know what they're doing, that they're familiar with the procedures, that they're able to do all those things. But when it's somebody who works, 2 to 4 days a month, there's a sense of like, we've gone over this, but you don't have to do this that often. Do you remember what you're doing? And that's not to say that they are incapable, but it's mostly like if you did something, twice a year, you might not feel comfortable to do it in 6 months without
like
anyone prompting you.
You do it a couple of times, you do it regularly, it's fine.
Right.
But if you commute twice a year, it's always like, where am I going? Where is Sedgwick? Why isn't it called North Avenue? How far north or east is that? I don't...
Yeah.
Things like that. When we put out the press release this week, we sent it to... We're not worried about comics press. We want to reach Chicago people. We want to reach people that are in that area.
Right.
That may not know about us, or, we wanted to let people know who could be shopping with us, that they could be shopping in River North with us.
Sure.
So we made up a list of contacts for every publication, newspaper, radio station, magazine, television station, like all these different places. And honestly, we've used different PR companies in the past for things over the years, and never really, like, you don't know where they're sending it because they don't tell you. That's their job. Right. And if they told you where they're sending it, then you could do it yourself, et cetera, et cetera. I get that.
Sure.
But you never really felt like you knew what was happening with the information. So this time, I know where it was all sent. Everywhere that we sent it to, only one place did anything with it. What was that place, Dale?
Patrick, it was bleedingcool.com.
It was Bleeding Cool. And yes, I sent it to Bleeding Cool because I knew that Rich would run it.
You said that.
And I know that a lot of people in the comics industry still go to them. And we've had comics professionals tweet out that link or send that link around. So I know I said we're not worried about the comics press. That's kind of why, because that one thing did it.
Right.
But we got nothing.
Nope.
Nobody else ran it.
No.
Or no phone calls. We did have one magazine, Business Insider, called us or emailed and said, hey, do you want to buy a listing?
Yeah, right. Two things real quick.
Yeah.
First, one of my all-time favorite things is when one of our previous PR people was like, we should do like a big party that has, we'll invite all the press and stuff.
Yeah.
And like literally the only people who came were like people who worked in ad departments.
Yeah.
And we didn't realize that until we were talking to them. And suddenly it was like, oh, you came here to sell us something, not to like learn about our business or like be on your radar. You're never gonna you're never gonna run a story about us. You don't do that. That's not your job. So it's just like
we wanted to get known as like you and I have been in this industry for a very long time. We wanted to be the go-to for when they have comic questions.
A news story about comics and they need a quote or somebody like, great, we're there. Like, and you have become that for different people, but it's always been like not an accident thing, but like eventually someone gets in contact with you and then you do so well that they're like, well, you're the guy now. But it wasn't a thing where like a bunch of people showed up and went, wow, this store is great. I love these guys. This is awesome.
And we had a bunch of local creators do the ads for us for the invites for that event.
Yeah, like they did custom art for us, and it was sent out like it
Chris
was
Burnham, Tim Seeley, Mike Norton, Luke Smarto.
These print invitations, and we got catering by.
We paid for catering with Vela Cafe. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, all this stuff,
and we had these comic creators in attendance.
Yeah, and like 4 people showed up, and they were like. I don't know who 2 of them were, and 2 of them were like the ad guys for The Onion.
Yeah, and one of them was like one of them was a mailroom person.
The Onion,
and one of them was a friend of a person who was there.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a huge waste of time and money, and that was, I don't want to say the thing that soured us on PR stuff, but it was basically a big gut check of like, oh, no one cares. And to that sentiment, I have lost all confidence in anyone in Chicago to care about anything that we do beyond customers and like the comics community. Basically because when we won the Eisner, and when we started doing Women's Comics Month and no one in Chicago cared about either of those things, I'm like, well, that's it. Like, those are the biggest things that we could do, the most outreach things that we could do. And nobody cares.
Yeah, there was one of the stores that was a finalist but didn't win, or wasn't even a runner-up for the Eisner, got more national attention than we did.
Yeah,
the year we won.
Nobody in the Chicago press cared at all.
And when we won, we like one of our old PR people, we went back for a one-off and said, let's promote this.
Same thing with Women's Comics Month. Like, this is a big deal. We want people to know about this, and nobody cared. There were like a couple college papers that did a little thing on it.
Little websites I never even heard of.
Yeah. And people who would run a press release where it's just like, there's no context here. Like, there's no story.
But for this, I thought specifically this is a Chicago business that's expanding in 2019. And yes, it's publicity for us, but it's content for those places.
The only business in Chicago that any website or newspaper or media app or whatever cares about is
coffee shops,
restaurants.
Okay,
that's it. It's literally it. Like if we were chefs and we were opening a new restaurant in River North, there would be such buzz about it.
Yep.
But a comic shop, nobody cares. I mean, it would be like opening a new shoe repair store. Who cares? Whatever. There it is. It's not a story. It doesn't matter.
I mean, I was pretty happy with that press release.
It was great. I think you did a good job.
Thanks. Well, you helped. You had a quote.
I did have a quote. I was interested to read it to see what did I say again.
Your quote put me over. That was awful swell of you.
Yeah, I don't want to go into business for myself.
But we also had James Van Alsdale, who you hear on the beginning and ending of every podcast, also
who supplied an actual quote.
Yeah, well, he gave it a once over and corrected some of my grammar and spiced things up a little bit, and gave an actual quote. And Guido Nardini from Club Lago Restaurant gave a quote, an actual quote,
a real quote.
And by that I mean I wrote him a quote and he ignored it, which he was meant to do.
Right.
He just wanted to know, like, what are you looking for?
Yeah. What am I supposed to be saying?
But he gave a quote, and then, also, congratulations to James Van Alsdale for being the runner-up for Best Music Podcast in the Chicago Reader Best Of Awards this week.
Good job.
Car Con Carne.
Good job.
Good job, James. And thanks for all your help with this.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a good press release. There was a picture. There was a whole bunch of attachments. Not attachments, but there was like links and things if they wanted to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep checking, keep like Googling specific phrases from the website, or from the press release, and only our website, and which, by the way, that was James's idea. He's like, you should have this on your website.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we should.
Which, I mean, we should, and it was something I thought about before, but the problem is we have long since gotten away from content really on the website. I mean, we'll post links to the podcast, and we'll put like new release lists and event listings and stuff, but stories. Like that kind of thing, like we don't do on the website anymore. So it was a thing where we just didn't have that front facing anymore. There was still stuff on the back end where we could put that stuff. So I had to spend a little bit of time figuring out, like, I turned that off. How do I turn it back on again? Like, I genuinely couldn't remember, like, how do I, like, I could do a thing along the menu bar at the top, and so you could find it. The link would work. But it was just like, how do I make it display on the front page again? And I eventually figured it out. But that's the thing that maybe in like a month or two, we'll be like, yeah, we're going to turn that back off again.
The news section.
Yeah. Because the only things we were doing were like the top selling graphic novels and comics for the year. And then we would do nothing in that section for 11 and a half months. So, yeah, did not need to be there on the website so much anymore.
But I mean, so many tiny little details went into timing the announcement with... The website now has both addresses at the top.
It does.
My email header has my signature line has both addresses.
I gotta change mine
in it, and I changed the Challengers at one as well.
Sure.
And updated the picture there.
Cool.
Jeremy Huggins, who is a longtime friend of ours, did a fun red and blue logo for us.
Cool.
Which I don't know. I mean, we may start using for things.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like a nice little. It fades from red to blue.
A nice gradient.
Because, like, right now, the email signature is still the red, because we are associated with red for so long.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
we'll have to
there's
have
blue.
a longer conversation eventually about like how things like the website need to change. It's like, is it just
Color schemes and
Yeah,
things, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what we're going to do with that because we've spent 11 plus years not thinking about stuff like that because
Right.
we had a color identity for this long. Now we have two, so we'll have to think about that. But those are like December, January problems.
Yeah, those aren't
I got enough
necessary
November problems.
for selling comics, you know?
No.
Those are a thing. We did learn, thanks to a longtime comic book, I was going to say editor, but just all-around guy in comics, Mike Gold,
All around guy in comics.
that the Brown Line stop that we are right at, the Chicago Brown Line stop, which is right at our store, is the same stop that Betty Page used to get off of to go to the Moody Bible Institute.
Neat.
Yeah, there's so many more little things about the area we're in that we're learning. What was once Skid Row is now River North.
Yep.
I do want to thank everybody for the kind words and well wishes.
Thanks,
It was
folks.
interesting. The only one that had comments that I thought were unnecessary was actually when Reed Pop posted about it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, their comments were all like, "Oh, rent in there is too expensive, isn't it?" Or something like things like that were kind of off topic.
Oh, okay. I mean, yes. I mean,
Sure.
they're not wrong.
Well, I mean, if it was too expensive, we wouldn't be there.
Right. It's expensive, though.
Yeah.
It's not cheap.
Yeah. But anyway, I want to thank all the people that gave us congratulations, and of course, our patrons, who we should have thanked last week, but we were in a different location,
We were not in front of the whiteboard.
and we will do it now. So, thank you to Ryan Hecht, thank you to Bridget Neville, also for the congratulations and the pizza and beer money. Thank you to Marcus Nasso, who now lives in Hawaii and has a killer Hawaiian mohawk now. And ironically, the book that was going to be the last signing with him comes out next week. But he was one of the people that heard it on the podcast and sent thanks
Oh, neat.
right away. Mark Hammond, Christina McChrystal, Jacob Sorelli, who is most likely going to come to C2E2, so we'll get to meet him
Oh, cool.
all the way from Israel. Robert Lane, Morgan Kaiju Perry from Boom Studios, who thanked us and asked if we needed any help. I mean,
we will text her 24 hours before
the
the
counter
bookshelves
shot,
show
yeah.
up, so she can get on a plane from LA, make sure she's here in what will probably be a very cold Chicago Thanksgiving.
Thanks in advance, Morgan.
Thanks, Morgan.
My brother George Brower, who has been instrumental in the construction aspects of what we've done thus far in this past week, and definitely will be again this weekend. Artie White, who will most likely be a subscriber at Blue now.
I don't know if that's the case or not.
Really?
Yeah.
Michael Romanenko, who was one of the people that we told it wasn't going to happen before it actually happened. We teased a huge announcement for an episode to him in person, and then it fell apart, and then we're like, yeah, it's not happening. And then sure enough, there it is. Keith, Margie, Logan, Malcolm, and Gimli. Is it Gimli or Gimli?
Gimli.
Gimli, like the creator?
No.
No? Okay.
It's Gimli if it's after the Lord of the Rings character.
I'm not versed in that. The entire Springham family. Jose Villagomez, who offered to, I think, bankroll the next challengers, if I'm not mistaken.
Cool.
That's
Thanks.
awesome. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thomas Nagovin, Mitchell Davies, Mike Lee, who we'll be seeing this weekend, Ryan Alcock, Matt Armstrong, and Robert Burns, who will be helping with stuff on Monday at Blue.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, patrons. And if you want to be a patron, and if you find value in this podcast that you're listening to, you can go to patreon.com/challengers and give us some money. I don't know why I'm laughing. It's such a weird point because, in theory, we should take the Patreon money to pay for Libsyn every month and the podcast things. But we just pulled everything out to add to the Blue Fund. And it's so weird that like right now we're at zero because it was last December we last took it out,
Oh, sure.
so it built up for a year, and then it's like, oh, now it's all gone. Now it's like, oh man, what if everybody quits?
Yeah.
There's no more money to print up Christmas cards.
Oh, no.
Which we had to wait until the Blue announcement to do the cards, and the Christmas cards showed up this week, so
Yeah.
by the time people start signing them and whatnot.
Yep.
Yes, indeed. So, obviously, as the podcast progresses, we'll be talking about both locations, Red and Blue.
Yeah.
And there'll be a lot more behind-the-scenes Blue stuff as it is happening.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean we are neglecting comics business as a whole.
No.
Or, just our role in it. And while we were out and about today, we got a letter, an email from a subscriber. And it was based off of last week's email of, hey, here's everything coming out next week.
Mm-hmm.
And they specifically said, hey, can you put me down for this book? Yet, if you scroll down the email after the list of everything coming out,
is it the Black Stars
it
one?
shows. Well, I wasn't going to call it out.
Oh, okay. No, Black Stars.
It
Green Lantern Black
specifically
Stars.
shows what's on your list for the next week,
Uh-huh.
including that book that they asked for.
Oh my God, Patrick! Let me tell you something, because you're not usually the one who deals with the monthly catalog email that gets sent out to all of our subscribers.
Yeah.
That shit is epidemic. I've told you this before, but one of the things that makes sending out the...
Can I use that shit is epidemic as the headline
Go
for this
ahead.
week?
One of the things that makes sending out the monthly catalog announcement email to subscribers so time-consuming is that there's a bunch of stuff I have to do before I send that email out. I can't just go, oh, the catalog's up. Like, I have to spend days pulling down the catalog from Diamond, formatting it for our website, pulling down images, formatting the images, making a page on our website that has all the listings, all of the images. I have to go through the catalog to see, okay, what are we going to copy people over to automatically? I have to make a list of that then on the website that tells people this is the stuff that's being copied over automatically. Then I have to go to our database and copy
them
over,
all, and
automatically,
yeah.
by hand, the different titles to whatever the new titles are. Because I want all that information to be absolutely 100% to the minute accurate when it goes out to subscribers. So it is immensely frustrating when several times each month when I send out the catalog and there's a link to the website that says, hey, if you were getting Title A, now you're getting Title B. And if you scroll down the list of the current subscriptions that person has, and it says they're currently subscribed to Title A and that they're also currently subscribed to Title B, that without fail, several people each month will go, hey, can you make sure I'm signed up for Title B? And it's literally like, it is 3 inches below what you're saying. If you read down 3 inches, there's the thing that says you are subscribed to Title B. But me telling them that is longer than just saying done. Because it is done. It already was done. But every month there's that thing of like, I worked so hard to get this stuff ready for you to go, and you didn't even read it enough. You just went, oh, I want this book. Like, you're getting that book. Like, I made sure I took care of that for you, but you didn't read it. You don't care. It's my problem. Fine.
Yep.
So, yeah, the idea that somebody sent an email today saying, please hold a book for me that you told me last week you were holding for me, not surprised. Not surprised.
In the email they sent it from,
Yep.
it showed it.
Yep.
All I had to do was scroll down and see.
Not surprised.
You're already down for it.
Same thing. Same thing I go through every month with at least 2 people.
Man.
Every single month.
Don't you like that we complain people don't pre-order stuff, and then when they are pre-ordering it, we're complaining?
Yeah, well, it's mostly just the, like, we are trying to be as transparent as possible with how this stuff is happening. You know, the communication. And we've talked about this so many times, and I'm sure people are sick of it, but it's still frustrating every time it happens. Because it's that, you know, someone does a post on the internet where it says, hey, we're doing a bake sale, it's apple pies, they're $5.
Yeah, that's my favorite reference.
And then everything beneath that is like, what pies are you going to have? How much are they going to cost? When is it going to be? Are you going to do any other pies? Like, all of that information is there.
Yep.
But everyone has to be like, yeah, so frustrating.
I got a question from someone today that it's like, you know what? You could just look this up.
Yeah.
You could look this up.
Yeah. No, it's frustrating. I don't understand why it's so reliable that there are, every time there's at least one person who's like, I just read this part of it. Just keep, you mashed the reply button when you could have just read the thing. Anyway.
We were talking before, and there's something, this is a blue thing I forgot, I wanted to mention. We were talking before about how the press release wasn't picked up, but we do plan to do some advertising, some internet advertising.
Yeah.
for Blue, but this is a question for you Chicago-based listeners. Where do you think we should do it? Have you advertised stuff before? Have you had good results? Where do you think we should put these ads where people can see it? And like, obviously, if we could just say, hey, River North. But I mean, what format and how do you want to filter it, and just suggestions? I mean, we have ideas, but we're looking to see if anybody has something we hadn't thought of.
Sure. I mean, I thought we would just do like Google and Facebook because, frankly, that's probably all we can afford.
Well, I mean, those are our ideas.
Right. But I mean, if people are like, oh, you should definitely get like banner ads on this website, like, I guarantee you we can't afford that.
Sure, but I don't know, listing somewhere or what. I'm curious if somebody has something that is a new idea for us.
Sure.
It does not hurt to ask.
That's true.
So thanks in advance, people. And I say Chicago-based listeners because if someone from Texas is reading this and say, oh, like, you should put a Facebook ad in this group. Well, I mean, will that help for Chicagoans? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to discount anything until I read it and judge it harshly. So now we're almost at the end of the first release of every Dawn of X series, save for Fallen Angels.
True.
How's it going so far?
I think it's going well. We've not heard feedback yet from New Mutants and X-Force for the most part because they just came out yesterday.
Well, we know how good New Mutants is.
Yeah, I really enjoyed New Mutants #1. I thought it was really fun. X-Force, I don't want to say I didn't enjoy, but I definitely need to give it another issue to find out exactly how I feel about it. I was not hugely engaged with issue 1. Ben Percy, I think that was his. I don't generally like Ben Percy stuff, and I thought the artwork for X-Force #1 was really mediocre. And the tone of it was interesting, but then it was just like, it's trying too hard to be dark and serious in a way where it's like, you get that this is a sci-fi mutant book about like the next evolution of life on Earth that lives on an island and has funny code names and crazy powers and stuff, right? Like, this isn't literally a CIA book. Like, it's still an X-Men book. But New Mutants was a lot of fun. We talked before about Marauders, about how that was really strong. I don't know if we talked about Excalibur, but Excalibur is, for the first issue, it's okay. Already we're getting people who are like, we're getting a lot of like, make sure I'm down for Marauders, make sure I'm down for New Mutants. We just today got one of our first, make sure I'm not down for Excalibur anymore.
Yep.
That's the first one that people have started to say, I don't need that one. And I'm not terribly surprised because even more than Marauders, which felt like a book that was like, I don't know if this is going to be for people who want to read an X-Men comic. Excalibur doesn't feel like an X-Men comic at all. It's very much a mutant magic book. Not the mutant magic, but magic and mutants.
That's always difficult to explain because of a character called Magic.
Yes. With a silent K. Sales-wise, we massively overordered X-Men #1 in a way that we wanted to still have it for a while. In fact, someone was in Wednesday, and they're like, do you guys still have X-Men #1? Like, yeah, we wanted to make sure we had it for a while. Like, we said that about House of X #1 and sold out in like 2 weeks, but still, this one, I mean, we ordered way more than we were ordering for House of X #6. So
yes, we ordered it with hindsight.
Yeah, we expected a bunch of people to sort of jump on at X-Men #1 who maybe hadn't had a chance to read Hox and Pox. And there's definitely some, but we will have copies for a while, and thankfully we now have a second store to send them to, so that's great. It's going to absorb those extra copies real fast. For the other titles, the main covers sell great. The Russell Dauterman Red Queen cover for Marauders sold great. People are not as into the Bagley connecting every mutant ever covers as I thought they would be. I thought that was going to be a big hit of a thing where people are like, I need all 6 of those. But people kind of don't care.
We literally had one person who was down for them all.
Yeah, the Young Guns variant covers, also a thing that people don't seem like they care a lot about. They'll buy them if the main cover is gone, but people were buying the main cover and then getting the others. They weren't that thrilled with any of the variants, and it doesn't help. And I get that Marvel... they've got a system and whatever, but I really, 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 really hate how much the variant covers, for the most part, do not have the main logo on the front. That bugs me to no end. So many people will walk by the Marauder stack because all we have left are the ones that don't say Marauders anywhere on the front.
Yeah.
so, like, with the connecting Bagley covers, I put those at the bottom of the stack because if those are up top, no one's going to have any idea what that book is. It's just a bunch of characters.
Yep.
It's going to say nothing to you. At least with the Young Guns covers, it's like, well, this is a Storm cover, and she's inside Marauders #1. So, yeah, I wish they hadn't done it that way. In general, I think we're fine as far as the copies we've got. There's nothing I'm looking at where I'm like, God, we ordered way too much. We're going to get killed on this. They're selling. They'll continue to sell. The big question mark is going to be issues 2s and 3s because we were ordering a lot of those before we saw how 1 sold.
Right.
So, and it's unclear how thrilled people are with some of these books. Again, Marauders and New Mutants I don't really have that much fear about. Fallen Angels we still don't know. X-Force and Excalibur, I can definitely see those being the first 2 titles people drop from Dawn of X, for sure. I don't think they were very strong.
They all can't be winners.
I think they could. They're not, though.
I still like how you explain it to people that it's sections of a world.
Yeah, too many people are kind of looking at it as like, well, X-Men is the one I have to read. These other ones I can skip, and it's like, that is not the way they were conceived. They were not conceived in a way where they're telling 6 individual stories, so much as they are 6 stories happening within the same world. That it's not like you're going to get to the event next spring or summer and be like, God damn it, I can't believe they're tricking me into reading Excalibur. But it's like, if you read Excalibur, some of that stuff is probably going to make more sense eventually, you know? There are big characters in each book, and there are things that they're going to intersect with other stories. Like the Marauders show up in X-Force #1. So if you've been reading Marauders, you kind of have an idea what they're up to and why they're there.
I have been, so that'll make sense to me.
Yeah, there you go.
I have found that a lot of my comic reading time the last few weeks has gone away, and there's a stack right here on this table that we're recording that I need to get to.
Same here.
From this week: Immortal Hulk, Lock and Key, Undiscovered Country, Spider-Man and Venom, Double Trouble. All those still need to get read.
Normally I'll read everything for the week Tuesday night.
Not an option anymore.
Yeah, so it resulted in me having to unfortunately bring a lot more stuff home and try to find some time here and there to read some stuff. I still have, it's a small stack of like 6 books maybe. Just a few things from this week, and hopefully I can barrel through them later tonight before I go to bed.
Did you see the Washington Post story today about Superman?
No. Is he okay?
He is.
Okay, good.
He is, this is a news story in a newspaper, so I'm not wrecking anything, I don't think.
Uh-huh.
He's revealing his identity to the world.
It's true. That's already been something that I think was talked about other places. Brian Michael Bendis, who's writing Superman in Action Comics, is making a huge change to Clark Kent's status quo as he'll be revealing his identity as Superman to the world.
To the world. It happens in Superman number 18. Number 17 comes out, I believe, a week from now. Mm-hmm. And I was happy that they literally showed the last page of 17 in the article where he's talking to Kara about it. Uh-huh. But he's like, hey, that's something I want to do. It's going to affect you most of all. But they don't tell you what it is.
Right.
So we don't have to worry about...
It's not going to affect Lois most of all?
Interesting.
I mean, I feel like it's going to affect Lois a ton.
Maybe as family.
Kara Zor-El? She's not on Earth most of the time.
Well, I mean, it's going to... people will figure out her identity, I guess, from that.
Will they?
I don't know. I don't want to debate story elements.
Clark Kent doesn't spend a lot of time
I'm just happy that they told us that we got to see the last page, so we don't have to worry about people buying, like speculators buying 17 because they think it's going to be valuable part of it. Like, is it the first appearance of Wolverine 180 or 181?
I mean, they might. I can't even predict what speculators are going to do anymore. I don't know if they're going to care or not care.
But that's a book we've long since FOC'd, is my point.
Yeah.
But we did we bump 18? We
bumped 18. It's
actually, did we even FOC it yet?
I'm pretty sure we did.
No, we shouldn't have because it's because of December shipping.
Yeah, pretty sure we did.
Okay.
We were just talking earlier today about the difficulty some retailers have had trying to order books that Bendis is writing based on solicitation information that then by the time the book comes out, completely wrong. Doesn't happen. Not that story anymore. So I don't know that I would want to go crazy bumping up what I think the issue is where Superman's identity is going to be revealed to the world.
Right.
Because now what if it happens on like the next issue? Like they went, oh, we forgot we were doing this other story. Oh, were we supposed to do a Year of the Villain tie-in? Well, we didn't.
Yeah.
We definitely didn't.
It's in the even Washington Post, so it's legit.
So not to keep bagging on Bendis and his DC stuff, But so he's supposed to do Year of the Villain stuff because everyone in the DC universe is doing a Year of the Villain story. And despite some of his characters being at the top of the Year of the Villain banner, he's still like, oh, I forgot. I was doing a different story. I'm not doing Year of the Villain. So he's the book that doesn't tie in. Then every DC Universe title for the month of November is doing an acetate cover, tying into Year of the Villain. And Bendis is like, oh, I forgot. We're not doing a Year of the Villain thing. I'm not doing an acetate cover. I'm saying he forgot. That's not a quote. That's me characterizing what I feel to be his attitude as a writer in the DC Universe. Where, you know, everyone's coordinating on this thing, but like Bendis is on an island somewhere and he's like, here's my scripts. Here's what's going on in the DC Universe right now? Well, if you're reading Superman and Action Comics, the fight against Leviathan is everywhere. You read literally any other book in the DC Universe, the fight against the Legion of Doom is everywhere. All right, great.
Yes, but if you watch the Supergirl TV show, Leviathan is in it.
Yeah, they did just mention Leviathan in this past week's episode.
See, there you go. Hey, it's November, and we haven't announced our Black Friday sales details.
No.
Mainly because we haven't talked about it.
Yeah, we've been busy.
Should we talk about it right now?
If you want.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Okay.
I assume that we'll be doing our traditional anything new comics not new this week, half off.
Sure.
It's harder to do because we'll have just
pruned everything.
Yeah.
Like usually we do that because we have a lot of extra books that it's time for us to have less of. Now we're splitting them between stores, so we will have half as many.
Yeah.
So then liquidating the rest is like, I don't know if I want to do that.
So do you want it to be totally different? Like,
I don't know, because we'd like in the reason why we used to not do Black Friday sales is because every year since 2009, I think.
Yeah.
We've done the I Love You But I've Chosen comics pre-Valentine's Day sale.
Right.
So the idea of doing a big sale at the end of November and then, like, 10 weeks later doing another big sale doesn't make sense to us. So we've generally skipped Black Friday to do the I Love You But I've Chosen comic sale. And also what we found was that, you know, the reason why a lot of stores will do Black Friday sales is to draw in customers that maybe wouldn't normally go to the store unless there's a sale. But what we were finding was that we weren't getting anybody new for Black Friday sales. Like, people who would just be regular people coming in and like, oh, are you doing a sale? Like, well, no, you're here anyway. Like, we didn't have to do it to draw you in. You already came in. Why would we give you money off when you're already here? That's the whole point of a sale.
Well, specifically the I Love You But I've Chosen comics sale is our only store-wide sale of the year.
Correct.
And that remains true no matter what.
Yeah, we'll do stuff like the Batman Day sale where it's a discount on all Batman stuff. Or we'll do, you know, Black Friday sale where it's a discount on newer comics but not on graphic novels. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, because we're definitely not going to be doing a sale for River North.
Right.
Because the store is just opening. And we do not want to discount merchandise we literally just opened the store with.
Yeah.
That is very bad for us financially.
Pardon me.
And yeah, I mean, I guess we could do it on the Not New This Week comics, I guess.
Well, I mean, do you want to just not do a sale then?
I mean, we were already saying we were doing a sale.
Yeah, but all it says is details coming soon. It's not gonna. No one's gonna be like, oh, well, I was counting on that thing because we never announced anything for it.
I don't know. Maybe we'll do like some sort of giveaway or something. Like, we've got stuff in the back.
Yeah.
That like first 50 people get a free whatever this is.
Do we have 50 whatevers?
We'll have to come up with a number. I
mean, but like that's what they get?
I guess.
First 50 transactions?
I don't know. No, just people coming in.
Well, I don't want people coming in to get a thing and going away.
Do you think that'll happen?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the problem of doing it if they buy something is like, well, now it has to be worth something.
Oh, I see.
At least if we're giving it away, you can't really complain that you didn't like it because it was free. You didn't have to do anything for it.
Sure.
I don't know. I'd like to do something, I guess, but I don't. I feel like anything we do is just going to end up hurting us, and
gotcha.
I don't know that we do enough on. Like I've never worked Black Friday, Patrick. How's Black Friday at Challengers?
Well, the last couple of years, it's been a strong day because we had a sale.
Okay.
The first time we did a sale was because we had a like boxes of variant covers.
Right.
That we just let go for cover price, and that brought in a bunch of people to dig through those boxes.
Sure.
Or then we pulled out, like one of the years we pulled out boxes full of back issues we hadn't gotten to, and no one cared.
Right. But I mean, what about like last year? I mean, if we're doing something, it's probably going to be like last year's sale, where it's a discount on newer comics.
Right.
Did
and,
anyone
and
care?
that did good, but it's all the good stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I'm sort of afraid of, is we won't have a lot of extra single comics. Like in general, like for stuff that's not the newest issue, we usually only have like 2 or 3 or 4 copies. Well, half of that's going to go to Blue. So most stuff we're only going to have a copy or 2
All right, so what if we go completely against the grain, and this time do sales on everything but comics, graphic novels, and supplies? Toys, T-shirts, posters, statues, pins.
I don't know.
All right, clearly we're not going to decide this now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
This is why we haven't posted anything.
Yeah,
this is a really good look into how these things work.
The decision-making process or lack thereof.
Yeah, usually one of us has an idea, and we go from there.
All I know this time is what I don't want to do. Like,
right.
I don't want to do it on the other categories because I feel like that's too close to the store-wide sale.
Yeah, but the store-wide sale is virtually a graphic novel sale.
It's true. Yeah, shit, I don't know.
All right, maybe
I feel like we're edging close to not doing anything, but
that's fine.
No, it's not, because if it's been financially successful to do a Black Friday sale the last few years, I don't want to not be financially successful on Black Friday 2019.
Our Black Friday sale is we have a new store that has things on sale.
But I mean,
I know
that people are not going to go to that store to buy things at full price.
No,
if they live in Bucktown.
I mean,
a discount on single comics, but then we risk running out of single comics.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like
Also, I kind of don't want to sell X-Men #1 for half off, you know?
Well, it wouldn't be half. Would it be half off? Shit, I guess is that what we did? We did
half off of.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah. All right, we'll come back to this later. Thanks.
Or we won't.
Or we won't.
Christ, there's a really good chance we won't, and it'll just be like we decided to do nothing because every choice was something of like I don't like that for some reason. Like there was no good choice. It was just which bad choice do you want to do?
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155.
And in the River North neighborhood of Chicago at 750 North Franklin Street, number 103, 312-285-2252.
Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.